Okay, that's my little arrangement of the head from Georgia on my mind, something I've been working on the moment. I guess you could say it's been on my mind. Did it? Um, Today, what I want to do is give you an insight into how I did that. If you like it, if you don't like it, probably better you don't watch it. But basically, if you're a guitar player and you're wondering how you arrange a piece like that, it sounds fantastic when you take the chords and you incorporate it with the melody. And I'm going to talk to you today about how I did that. First thing that you're going to want is the chart. Whatever song you want to work on, it's good to have the chart. Obviously, doing it by ear is fun and challenging, but the chart will help you a lot, at least to give you the chords. If you can't read music, it's not the end of the world, but you need to know chords. So it really helps. So the first thing that you do when you get a piece like this is you have a bit of a look at the melody. I mean, I don't work extensively on the melody alone. I tend to sort of do things together. I sort of roll my ideas together. So I'll start working on the chords, and I'll find the melody note. Now, it really helps too to know how the song goes. So, for example, you want to know your melody notes. The head in the song or the vocal line is generally probably around this region of the guitar. Okay, for example. But that's pretty tricky on guitar because it gets muddy, we run out of room. So I think up an octave. So even if you can't read music, get an idea of the melody first, probably a little more, especially if you can't read music. Okay, so you've established your melody, or you have a good enough ear to work it out as you go along, or you can read the melody on the chart. That's what you need to be able to do. First thing you're going to do is say, well, the first chord in this song is F major 7. So we play an F major 7. All right, now remember we want to move this sort of thing up an octave. I'm going to play a root 5 C major 7 just to give you an idea. Hopefully you're familiar with this chord, derived from, I always like to tell the student where we're deriving our chords from. So hopefully you know A major, right? A major 7 is this one here. So second finger on the second fret of the fourth string, first finger on the first fret of the third string, third finger on the second fret of the second string. If I'm going too quick, you've got a pause button. You can slide back and all that. Well, actually, YouTube's been pretty bad with that. I've noticed. You click back and it crashes, but maybe download the video if you can, and whatever. I'm rambling. Anyhow, so here's your A major 7. The bar chord version of that, we need to use our third finger second and pinky, move it up, bar chord. Here's our C major 7. So, hopefully you're familiar with that. That's the chord I'm going to start with. So a root 5, F major 7, not a C major 7. Sorry for confusing you like that. I'm tricking you. I like playing tricks. Anyhow, pinky on the 10th fret. Okay, that note right there is the first note in our melody. You'll find a lot of the time you don't need to do too much because the melody can be found in the chords. Alright, so we're barring the 8th fret, third finger on the 10th fret of the 4th string, second finger on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, pinky on the, I'm going to make that a bit clearer, on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. There's our first melody note. Our second melody note, just pick the first string. If you're barring properly, you're going to hear that. Okay, if you find that a little difficult, you don't always need your bass notes. You could even, if you were struggling. But anyway, this video is probably aimed at someone a little more accomplished, So I'm going to keep rolling. So first two notes are right there, and you'll find that a lot of the time. Really handy. Now, you'll probably notice I did something different. I was actually playing an F6-9. Second finger on the 8th fret. First finger on the 7th fret. Sorry, second finger on the 8th fret of the 5th string. First finger bars the middle two strings on the 7th. That's the 4th and 3rd string. And traditionally, your third finger will play the 8th fret there. But we're reaching up for that A in the melody with our pinky. Okay, love this chord. Beautiful chord. And then your third finger can catch that second melody note. Now, I like to go get that little double bass line. Sounds really cool. Play things that you hear. try and hear it and chase it. You know, that's what I'm positive that's what the best players do. You know, they're just chasing what they're hearing more often than not. Not that I'm one of the best players. You get what I mean. Okay. Then from here, the next chord was an E7 flat 9. Again, an E7 flat 9s, because we can bar. Well, not E7 flat 9s, but 7 flat 9 chords are great. They sound really cool. They're often substituting a dominant 7 of some sort. But anyway, let's stick with the program. Barring your first finger across the 7th fret, second finger on the 4th string at the 8th fret. Now, the melody note is that A again. We're going to see this note a fair bit. So you reach up to that with your pinky. Okay, sorry, my singing's terrible. Well, I can sing, but not in this situation. We want this note next, and the next chord on the chart is an A7. So, few things you can do here. A7. Think of this A7, derived from an E7 here. First finger barred. That would be an F7, for example. We're doing an A7 as it says on the chart, and we want this note. So, you know, find it with your pinky. Oh, okay, that's the note we want. You might be able to hear it. So, A7. But always look for opportunities to use open strings. They sound good, they resonate, and they free up fingers. So in this scenario here, instead of playing the 5th fret, I'm actually playing open A. Okay, and I'm just dropping the bottom half, the bottom half of the chord. I'm getting rid of these fingers, and I'm just playing it like that because we get our A here, and my pinky is doing that. Okay, so now that's the simple way of doing it. What I do is I go. So I actually play that G in the melody, the 8th fret there, before I get to that. I kind of anticipate it because I want to get this more intricate little idea happening where I play the B flat, which leads physically to that A, but I'm playing the open A. Now, if I'm moving too fast for you, just, you know, watch it again, have a listen, have a bit of a play around with that idea. And then that's just the 2 notes out of the dominant 7 there that really work. Okay. Alright, now that A7 sets us up for the next chord, which is a D minor. So you should know your root 5 bar chords at the very least, but just in case you don't, barring across the 5th fret, 3rd finger, pinky, 2nd finger, good old D minor. Hopefully you know that one. From here, the melody is at that A again, but we're up here now, okay? We could always play that D minor here, which sounds cool. But while I'm here, let's demonstrate an option, and this is the kind of thing you're going to come across a lot. This A here, we can play here, okay? It's one of the strengths and one of the difficulties of the guitar is you know, how many times notes are reoccurring on the fretboard. But, you know, look, this voicing sounds really nice up here. What I do, I like to make things a little more interesting, and this is purely by experimentation. I understand the theory of it, but more recently I'm more interested in just experimenting. So, you know, all I do is I've taken my pinky and I've thrown it down to the 9th fret on the 4th string. So instead of the A here in the D minor, I'm actually playing a B natural. Okay, it just creates a little bit of tension. Alright, so we get our melody note here. We get a little bit of flavour by just playing with the chord. And you could do this as well. You could always flick your pinky out from where it already is. What about this? You know, sounds really nice, really interesting. From here, that was where we were. The next note is the D again at the 10th fret. So this is the 12th fret, by the way, just so you know, as a reference. In case you can't count. Sorry, it was a bit patronising, really. You probably were able to work that out. Alright, now, the next note was this one, and then this one. So what I do, you're probably going, what are you doing there? Well, this is just a classic minor. Let's take an E minor chord. these are the 3 strings open in an E minor chord. So when we move that along, A minor for example, B minor, that's the B minor bar chord again from barring. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm just going to confuse you if I continue. That's the minor. Take it to the 10th fret. So if it seems like I'm rushing, it's because I know people have a short attention span and I have a tendency to ramble, so trying to move along. So here we are, D minor. Now, you could play it like that, but what did I say before? If you can use an open string, use it. It sounds awesome. Okay, so there's our D minor. Using the open D string instead of the D here makes it easier. The next note is an A, which is this note. That's the next few notes. So yeah, remember that the chords I'm mentioning are in the chart, and I'm capturing the chords and the melody. The next chord is a G7. Alright, so there's the G here that we need in the melody, and the chord says G7. So if you're familiar with this C7 chord, that's all I'm doing. I'm just doing the C7, which is third, like a C major chord. You have to know a C major chord or you're really in trouble here. Pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string makes it a dominant 7. Slide it all the way up, and we've got G. C, D, E, F, G. Okay. Sorry for that outburst. Anyhow, that pinky there on the 10th fret gives us our 7, and our first finger is capturing that melody. Alright, now this next part is it says on the chord chart it actually descends from that G. What does it do? I'm trying to remember now. Well, it ends up basically requesting you to play a B minor 6. So you're like, alright, wow, what would I do there? Well, you know what? I don't actually play a B minor 6 there. What I've done, there's no melody for the next part. So you can have a little bit of fun with these parts where you've got no melody. Think of chord fills. What I've done here, I've gone to B minor. If you get a bit confused about extensions, play a basic chord. No melody. Let's just play the B minor that we were asked to do. Sounds really, really nice. And what I did here was I had a little bit of imagination, and I've just gone, and I've thought about that melody, which starts again at this point, and I've led into it with octaves. So I have a little bit of Wes kind of inspiration there. Check out my videos on Wes Montgomery if you like this. Anyhow, and here we are, melody again, with that same chord we started with. This is just like the start. I'm not going to really explain this. That one, okay, just like the start, same A there, same chord. Now what I do here is, I know on the chart, because we've got the chart's gone back to F major 7, then we're heading for another D minor. So what I do is I say, well, the melody goes, sweet song, and what I want to do, the next chord's a D minor, I want to lead really nicely to that D minor. So I've added a little chromatic in there, kept that chord by flattening my 2nd finger and my pinky, capturing, the next note is here, so we've got this one, then that one, but I've gone, now I'm putting my 1st finger on the 6th fret of the 5th string, barring the middle 2 strings with my 2nd finger on the 7, and my pinky bars the first 2 strings. So we've got, I'm getting this melody note here, 10th fret of the 2nd string, not playing the 1st string. Melody note moves to the 1st string where my pinky's captured that. That's a C, and it's still an F chord. I've just grabbed an E flat and made a few changes to capture the notes that I want. Why did I use that E flat? Because it's one step away from D, and you can do that at any time you like. So that's where we're at now. The next chord is D minor on the chart. Oh, sorry, D7. The next chord we're going to is a D7 on the chart. So we can do this, but the melody note is here. All the way up here. That's at the 12th fret. It's the first time we've gone that high. So we need a voicing that's going to achieve that. Now, remember before when we did that D minor, okay, here I'm going to do, let's do a D major. Okay, that's one step closer. So think of an F chord all the way up at the 10th fret. 12th fret, third finger's at 12th fret, first finger's at the 10th fret. So there's our major chord. The melody note was the E at the 12th fret, which we can now achieve. But we want a dominant 7, and you do really want a dominant 7. It's going to sound cooler. That's really effective. So you could do this. This is a C. This is D major 7. So I've dropped the root. This is the root note, by the way. Dropped that. We've got a major 7. Drop it again. We've got a flat 7. Okay. One way to do it, what I like to do, open string. So if you remember our good old E7, right? We used it before. Have you ever seen an E7 played like this? Probably. If not, well, you can play it like that. Let's take that shape all the way up to here. So that was there. Okay, hang on, it's easier that way. 12th fret, 11th fret. We're not going to use this note. Forget about it. Gone. Put that finger on the 12th fret, so we've got our melody note. And what we're going to do... No, don't put that finger there. We're going to play it like this. Let's go back to that F chord. Sorry, I'm confusing everyone, including myself. Let's go back to that F chord. Now we're playing a D chord, F shape. Sorry, we're playing a D chord, open D string, pinky on the 13, because that's your D7. That's that shape I was talking about that comes from that E7. It's a little confusing. Just copy this and best of luck. Anyway, so hit your open string. Right, so that's a D7 based idea. And then what I do is I actually take my third finger, put it on the 13th fret of the 4th string. And my first finger is flattened, by the way. So I've now got 10th fret of the 1st string. That was the next note in the melody, by the way. I think, or I'm imagining it. Well, that's what I'm doing anyway. What I'm doing here by putting that third finger over the top, going from the D7 and adding the D sharp, or E flat if you will, if you like, is I've put it into the territory of an A flat 7. That's quite complex, but take it from me, experiment, and look at where your next chord is. My next chord is a G minor 7, so that third finger is sitting 1 fret away from a key note in that G minor. So sometimes treat it purely treat it physically. Say, well, my next chord's a G minor. Whatever chord I'm playing, let's throw some notes in that kind of are sitting a fret away from some notes that are going to occur in the next chord, and you'll get some really cool results. Because the theory explains the physicality and then the sound. Well, the theory explains the sound, but it's the physicality that creates that sound. So look at it from a physical point of view. Say, well, I know I'm going to the 12th fret. I'm going to flick a note in there from the 13th and see what happens, and you'll get some cool stuff. G minor, good old minor chord, just like the D minor mentioned before, but from the 10th fret. Next two notes in the melody, B flat, then D, in the chord. Then we play a C7. For all you, geez, if you're playing jazz and you don't recognize that dominant 7, you got homework to do. But this is a C13. First finger on the 8th fret of the 6th string, second finger on the 4th fret, on the 4th string, second finger on the 8th fret of the 4th string, third finger on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, and pinky on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. It's really hard to call those fingers out like that, so I apologize for the mistakes, but give me some credit. Okay, so C13, we want the A, and then we're going to get the G. Easy. So what I did there, I just put my pinky on the note my third finger was holding and dropped my third finger onto the 8th fret. So 10th fret with pinky, third finger plays 8th fret, pinky switches to that part of that chord. We sort of end up going like that. Okay? And then the turnaround, I'm playing an A minor, but I'm making use of open strings. And the melody dictates, I'm pretty sure it's a C. Could be an E. Well, if it was an E, you'd play that. If it was a C, you'd get that one. Again, you're going to find the notes within the chord. Then the turnaround. So D7 flat 9. It's just like a D. So second finger, on the 5th fret of the 5th string, first finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, third finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. Bar your first finger so we catch the 4th fret of the 2nd string. Alright, really tense chord, sounds beautiful. Takes us very nicely to the G minor chord, which I then flick this out to the 7th fret, just for a bit of colour. And then, what was after that? Okay, and then a C7 flat 9, which is going to lead really nicely to the F major again. Okay, or back to there. Now another thing you could do here, instead of that C7 flat 9, and this is for the more advanced fellas out there, or, well, yeah, people that might have a few more chords up their sleeve, you know, let's do an inversion of that. Let's do an E. Let's start with an E minor idea, E minor 7 of some sort. Well, it's just an E minor, really, I guess. Yeah, no, E minor 7. Right, let's do that, and let's add an F sharp. Let's pull this finger up here. Let's actually do an E9 sharp 11, E sharp 11, I guess. Okay, and you're like, whoa, that sounds crazy. Wrong, hang on. Try this. Yeah, I'm not quite achieving that. Okay, hear that tension and release? It's not perfect, but, you know, it's quite... If you sell it, it sounds really cool, and that's something I really encourage is experiment. Now, if you don't understand that stuff, you could have easily tried just playing a chord very similar to the one you're going to go to, 1 fret back. You could have gone... Perfect example, and that's just a simple little slide of that shape that we're using. Okay, so yes, we can get very theoretical, but at the end of the day, if you can make it work, it doesn't matter whether you can even explain it or not. If you can sell it and you can make it work, you can do some interesting stuff. Tal Farlow, Wes Montgomery, Django Reinhardt, those guys weren't trained. I've done a lot of study and a lot of work, and I would consider myself fairly well trained, but some of the stuff I come up with that I like the most, I've thought about it later and gone, hey, that was kind of cool, but I didn't need to think about it later if I could do the cool parts. So, you know, experiment and play. Anyway, I hope that is enough for you to go away and have attempts to work on your own pieces. Take a standard, take a pop song, whatever you like, find the melody, try and fit the chords with it. Use chord inversions. You know, it doesn't matter whether you use the bass note, the root note all the time in the bass or not. It could be the third or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just have a go and good luck, and please subscribe and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.